Toku Secrets is a podcast run by the Anime Secrets website. Check us out at animesecrets.org for more anime, video game, tokusatsu content. Remember to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts today.
Hey everybody, it's Jason from Power Rangers Time Force, and you're watching Toku Secrets Podcast.
Tokusatsu, taking the form of many shows including Super Sentai, Kamen Rider, and Metal Heroes. And today, a group of fans come together to review it for you as Toku Secrets.
Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of a Toku Secrets podcast presented by animesecrets.org. I'm your host, Nathan Desab, Oak and Silver.
Patrick Shinkin Red.
And I'm Rizwan Gokai Red.
Anthony Davis, Kyoryu Green.
And today, at long last, we are, I don't know, I think we've been like over, like, you know, just lingering on Miss Sentai for like 2 months now. We're wrapping up.
Nathan, hang on. Let's do this the right way. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to discuss and eulogize our fallen friend, Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger. It was a great season. No, it wasn't. It had a lot of potential. Yes, it did. It had great character development. No, it didn't.
No,
The story made total sense. Absolutely not. But we are here today to lay to rest, finally, our dearly departed friend, Zyuranger. And now, for the rest of this podcast, we will give our thoughts and we'll say our final piece, once and for all, and then we'll finally be free of Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger.
Ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Now, before we jump in, real quick, so we are recording this on August 27th of 2023, but by the time this goes up, it will be after August 28th of 2023, and as all Toku fans know, August 28th is the anniversary of Power Rangers. It's also known as National Power Rangers Day, according to Hasbro. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a big, glorious thing to review in honor of it. But the good news is that we will be taking a look at the audio drama next, which, spoiler alert, the 3 people in this podcast that have seen it really like it. So, and I'm pretty sure Patrick will like it too.
Listen to it. We don't watch the audio drama because there's no video.
Yeah, okay, I know. They get the gist of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got a lot to talk about. This is going to be a super long podcast since this is the last one. But we're not. This isn't it. All 7 of these episodes aren't the endgame arc. We're literally just covering the last few filler episodes before the endgame arc. Then we're just doing the endgame arc because this Sentai does not deserve the honor of having an entire podcast dedicated to
Absolutely not.
Endgame arc. So just to do a brief recap of the big things that happened last time, the only real major thing that happened, as you may recall in the podcast, was that so Bandura destroyed Burai's timeless room, and he was out of safe haven. Goshi and Don tried to get this magic elixir that would cure Burai, but they were too late. His time ran out. Burai died. Giving Geki his dragon armor and Jusoken. But it ended on a more bittersweet note because the elixir that would have been used to save Burai was used to save this boy named Kota, so Burai was able to die happily. And long story short, Burai's final arc is not really that great, and you should probably just watch The Green Candle because that episode is actually a lot better. With that being said, we're going to move on to, we're going to start off with episode 43, Live Again, Jusoken, which is like pretty much the immediate aftermath of the episode, where basically Dragon Caesar is all depressed because of what happened to Burai. He's really depressed. He over his death and just is sulking and everything, and Geki's trying to convince him to come back and, fight with them. And then the episode ends with Dragon Caesar, getting rallied, he gets rallied back, and he gets a big morale boost, and he serves under Geki's command, and they bond. But which it's supposed to be heartwarming until, okay, spoiler alert, Dragon Caesar doesn't appear in any of the remaining filler episodes in this series, so it's completely undermined. So all the heartwarming moments of this episode are just, yeah, Dragon Caesar, we love you, but we're never going to show you in the series for the rest of the time. In fact, Riz actually pointed this out to me when he was watching the episodes. There's another episode where they summon King Brachion, but Dai Jujin rides on King Brachion by himself. So they can't even bring out Ultimate Dai Jujin. Like, they bypass Dragon Caesar.
Which is not Power Ranger footage, by the way. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think
I
this
don't
happens
think
in Power Rangers.
Geki also uses the dragon armor, which that's a huge complaint I always had, and I'm not going to give Power Rangers trash for it because they can't help it because of the Sentai footage, but I've always kind of thought that, like, wouldn't it be cool if, like, the dragon armor was like a permanent addition to Geki's Ranger form now, since it's like this to, like, as a tribute to Burai.
I think that would have been a much better idea now that you say it.
Yeah, it would have been. But you want to know what the sad part about that is, though? The comics did it first.
Really?
Yeah. During the this is like a small spoiler. I'm not gonna give big deals of what happened. So there's an arc in the comic called the Shattered Grid arc, and certain things happen that are similar to what happened to Burai, to Tommy, and so after that happens, Jason gets the Dragon Power coin, but also he gets the armor as well. And every time he morphs, he still has the armor on as well.
Well, that's pretty cool. But I mean, I don't know. It just seems like it would be a cool, like, way to just pay homage to Burai by just wearing it permanently, and not only that, but, like, just with how cool Geki was with his final. Okay, well, not Geki the character, just him as Tyranno Ranger. Like, I don't understand why he wouldn't want to always use the dragon armor. So, yeah. But what did we think of this episode, guys? Anybody want to give that? Actually, I want Patrick to go first.
No.
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 This season is my personal thing, okay?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Riz is going to be stubborn about it. He can go first.
I have claimed this. I've laid stakes for this claim
Okay.
weeks ago.
I'm the one that warned you
He
about
called.
this episode before we started.
He called dibs.
Okay, go ahead,
dibs.
Riz.
Yeah, let him.
You can have the rest of the podcast. I don't care.
Just let him have it. I'm curious as to where this goes.
Okay. Nate says there's a future episode that's the worst episode of the season. We haven't covered it yet. We're going to cover it this time. I'm going to say Nate's wrong. This is the worst episode to come out of the entire damn
Thank you.
And my reason for this is Burai died. Okay, I can be okay with Burai dying. People die. It happens. Guy died in a more stupid way in the last season. I didn't like how Guy died. Burai's death, actually, it was fine. If a character is going to die, the way Burai did it is the right way to do it. But the reaction from this team makes me livid mad. If I had access, if I had access to Nate Marchand from the Power Trips Rantmaster button right now, I'd be pressing the Rantmaster button right now. Because this needs that. Geki has spent the entire season up until this point kind of aloof, saying, "My brother, but wait, these kids. My brother, but wait, let me play with these kids. Wait, I have a brother? I forget about him for 7 episodes. No big deal." And then he finally decides, let me save my brother and actually try and help him. So they actually read the books. that they've had access to all this time to try and find a solution to the problem that they could have been working on from the beginning of this season, since the Greenwood Evil arc, but they didn't. Instead, they're off just doing whatever with like little kids that don't matter in the end.
Yeah.
And like, seriously, Bry tells Dragon Caesar when Dragon Caesar's mourning, because you got to understand, Dragon Caesar is a living entity.
Yes.
And it has feelings. It has a heart. It's a physical being. It's not a mechanical monster like other Zords are. This one can feel. And the entire time I'm watching this episode, I'm just sitting there like, this is the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. And this could have been the one time, as far as I remember, giving a 10 out of 10 in this season. This episode had that potential. Because Dragon Caesar's mourning could have been followed by some great moments from Geki and the rest of the cast. Not so much the rest of the cast, but at least Geki.
Right.
But they don't. Instead, Geki has the nerve to tell Dragon Caesar, suck it up, Buttercup, and get over it. You have to get over the death of Barai. And then, to make matters even worse, if we can call them worse, because I think we've already hit rock bottom here. Dan and Boy, as far as I remember, also echo at some point during the episode, suck it up, Buttercup, get over it. And I'm just sitting here like, are you kidding me? Y'all spent the last 5 episodes trying to save this guy. Y'all literally had a scene where Gosi, was it Gosi and Mai, or was it Boy and Mai? I don't remember.
It was Boy and Mai.
And
May. I mean May, not May. It's May.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, the people who had very little to do with him, they were crying tears in the previous episode because he died. They didn't actually know him. They didn't actually spend time with him. In fact, their entire interaction, as far as I could tell, was getting their ass handed to them by Barai, and then not seeing him again except for Dragon Caesar cameos throughout the rest of the season. And they had the audacity to cry, and then the next episode say, suck it up, Buttercup. Really? 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 Like, quite honestly, this is hot garbage. I'm using the term from my Sinkinser review rants. This is hot garbage. It is the worst thing to come out of Zyuranger. And it took me listening to the Power Trips review of Zyuranger the other day to kind of put into perspective how bad this episode is now after the death of JDF. Because literally, this is the Green Ranger, this is JDF's suit, and we as the fans are seeing people tell that character's suit, sorry, you don't matter enough to save or mourn. We gotta tell your mech robot thing that you rode around on, suck it up. You don't have to worry about him. He's gone. You have to fight for us instead. And then they don't give him any time or consideration or anything. And they're praising their own little mechs, but they don't give Dragon Caesar even a modicum of, hey, good job out there, bro. You helped. You're great. I know that must have been tough for you because you just lost your partner. No, they ignored him. He walked up into the saddest little walk in the world, and I was so mad.
Right.
And they don't use him again until the end game arc.
And then,
so they just discard him.
And then, like Nate said, there is an episode, which I'm spoiling right now because I don't give a crap, where literally, they summon Zero. They create the Ultra Zord without Dragon Caesar because I guess they're just trying to say screw you, Dragon Caesar. Like this is the worst episode of Zyuranger, and Nate, this is probably one of my contenders for the worst episodes in all of Sentai that I have seen.
Is it
Patrick,
worse
can I
than
do
the
you
lawnmower
justice?
No,
episode?
you've made me a very proud man, Riz. You nailed everything. You nailed every point. Because I've been hyping this episode up for you all review long, saying that this was the episode that made me despise Geki as a character. Because of everything that he had done theoretically up to this point involving Bry, and then for him to be the one to tell Dragon Caesar to just shut up and move on is one of the single dumbest pieces of character writing I've ever seen in anything. It's just like,
Got some nerve.
what the
It was
heck?
so bad, like, and like, okay, so listening to the Power Trip, I have the greatest respect in the world for those guys. I disagreed with their take on this episode because they thought it was really sad and like a really good send off. They do acknowledge that Geki and the others were kind of rude and stuff to the Dragon Caesar, but I think they were being too nice
Yeah.
because they were trying to, play it up a little bit. But no, this episode has probably I'm at the edge here of taking away the crown from Ninja's lawnmower episode and giving it to this.
That's you.
I'm at the edge. Look at my fingers on this webcam. That is how close I am to doing this.
Oh man, he brought out the actual physical measurement. You know he's serious.
I'm a NASA engineer. I have measurements.
I'm shaking right now. Like you look like that. Oh my god! Like I'm trembling. Like
I haven't declared it yet. It hasn't.
No, but like even you saying that is enough for me to go like, wow. Like if it almost got to that point, you messed up.
I didn't think it was possible, but
Yeah.
here we are.
Me neither. Like
we are.
But here we are. Now, with all that said, I have to give my obligatory Gekki Ranger is still worse than Zyuranger, even with this episode. Because that's
Lord.
one episode versus an entire season of garbage.
And I really I always hate doing this, but I mean, here we are, like, even though it was technically a season late, because I do think that the episode should have been after the Green Candle, Power Rangers had a much better episode, kind of mourning Tommy's loss. Now, granted, it was a Jason-centric episode. It was called Missing Green. It was the episode after Tommy permanently loses his powers in season 2. Like, that was a much better episode. Now, granted, I think that episode's plot should have been more in the episode that was it, because this episode was adapted in some like just random, like I think it was a Zack-centric episode actually in Mighty Morphin, but yeah, I mean, even though Power Rangers was technically a season late, they handled mourning the loss of Tommy a lot better than they handled the aftermath of Burai's death.
Like, okay, they really had a good thing going here with the idea of Burai, but they fumbled it so much beyond saving or recognition or anything good. Like, everything to do with Burai's story arc just screams, please, Riz, go back in time, slap the writers, and make them do better for me.
that part.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, one thing that, I didn't think about this when I watched it until I listened to Nate and Michael on the Power Trip talk about it. But I didn't realize that part of my disappointment with this episode might also be my reaction to just having lost JDF a couple of months prior. Like, that definitely feeds into it, because we gave so many great tributes to this character, and then to see the actual Sentai counterpart die in canon and him get the worst send-off of all deaths that I've seen in Sentai. Like, no, this is terrible.
See, the real messed up thing is that Guy got a better send off, and it wasn't until like 20 something years later in Gokaiger.
They don't even talk about Burai beyond like a quick mention that he died
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Like, at least at the end of the day,
Mhm.
Guy got a proper send off. Had a whole
Mhm.
episode dedicated to it. Gokaiser could have done a proper Zyuranger tribute beyond Ghosty appearing for all of 2 seconds and done something
They were actually
more
going
meaningful.
to, but Gokaiser was being filmed during the 2011. Yeah, and they said
earthquakes
that
and all that.
Gokaiser was originally going
Yeah.
to have a returning cast member and tribute episode for every single season, but Zyuranger was one of the seasons that ended up having its tribute episode scrapped due to the earthquake. So
Yeah.
I'm really curious as to how it would have
Yeah.
looked, though. But I doubt it would have. It would have been nice if it paid
Mhm.
tribute to Bry, but
Especially since
hard to say.
I mean, Zyuranger's Grand Power is one of the things that Gokai Silver used for his
Yeah.
mech, so I don't know how they would handle that differently, but who knows. But what will we give the Anthony? Do you have anything you want to say about this episode?
Other than the fact that these characters suck, not really. And it's like they have some
What-
nerve to sit up there and tell that poor. Well, it's not a Zord, but that poor living mech that. Oh yeah, Borai's dead. Get over it. And it's like, no, comfort the mech and say, hey, I know he's gone, but he's still with us. We may not be able to replace Barai, but we can at least, be there for you in your time of need, just like you've been there for us. And then he would be like, you know what, you're right, and then you would have come around and helped him out. But no, you just go over there saying that you just need to just get over it. Like that you don't tell no grieving person to get over a death of somebody. That's not something you do in real life.
It could have
no.
led, I think Riz was hinting at this too, because it could have led to an actual legitimately good character moment for Geki, where he tries to convince Dragon Caesar to keep fighting because they that whole lame explanation of he's with us in spirit or something, and then that's when he whips out the dragon shield and Zuzoskin, and then Dragon Caesar is like, well, there is still parts of him with the team, and I'm one of them, and it motivates him to get back into fighting spirit. And Geki, is it all comes full circle for them all, for the two of them. It's closure that he accepts it by wielding his power, and Caesar sees that he still has value. But nah.
Yeah.
Forget about him. Work for me now, you idiot.
Isn't it a statement?
That's it.
That's basically what it.
Isn't it a statement on just how? I think it's a huge statement on just how bad these Zyuranger characters are, where we feel more sympathy for a literal robot than we feel for any of these other characters.
It just goes to show you that the character writing was that bad. And I tried telling people that this show was not good, and me and both said it. Won't listen.
Yeah.
Yep. What will we give this episode out of 10, though, guys?
I want to hear what Riz got to say first. I want to hear what Riz got to say first. Yeah.
Is it possible to give negative numbers here?
I mean,
sure. Go ahead.
I want
Go
points back.
I want
Go
interest. Give me my.
Yes.
In all seriousness, I'm giving this a 0.
Yeah.
Oof.
Okay. But I'll allow it's okay to give negatives, but the most you can do is negative 10.
No, I'm going to just stick with a 0 to keep things
I normally find giving 10s and 0s a little bit arduous, because nothing's ever truly perfect and nothing's ever truly, perfectly terrible. But this is as close as you're going to get, and it kind of deserves a 0 because there's nothing redeeming about this episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to give it a 1 just because the moments with Dragon Caesar, if I remove all the terrible stuff that the Zyurangers did. Like, I felt legitimately sorry for Dragon Caesar, so it did something for me at least. So I'm just gonna give it a 1, which I think is fair. But
I mean, so like, in the defense of this episode, the only thing that I've heard to defend it is Geki's looking to the future to try and get ready for the final fight with Bandora. But
how does he know that that's coming?
because it's the typical arc of what happens in the future.
I guess, but
Like,
that just doesn't make any sense.
yeah, but I don't know. I just think this is the 0 because it really, really sucked, and it really, really triggered the wrong feelings for something this big happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to not a great episode, but I think it's a
Yeah.
half decent episode in this batch.
It's the only episode I liked.
44.
And also, my review, my count was a 0 as well. Just FYI.
Oh, sorry about
Are
that.
you good? I just want to make sure I had said it before, like, we moved on.
It's called Swordswoman, Japan's Best. This is a filler episode, Goshi-centric, and I think it's fair to say that this is a Goshi-centric episode because Goshi plays a huge part in it. In fact, the funny thing is that the other Zyurangers don't come in until like well into the second half of this episode. So, but anyway, there's this Dora monster that's going around and absorbing people's talents, and he targets this swordswoman, and Goshi tries to protect her because he develops a crush on her. The only thing to kind of note, there's like a subtle reference to Jetman here because the Dora monster absorbs the talent from a famous Japanese idol. Her name is Kaori Hayasaka. It's a fusion of the two female names from Jetman. So she has the first name of White Swan, Kaori, and she has Akko's last name from last season. Yeah, not much to bring up here. I might have a little bit more to say about it as someone who's seen this type of episode God knows how many times in older Sentais. But what did you guys think of this episode?
I don't know.
I honestly think this is one of the better episodes in the season overall.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we don't have little kids. We have
Thank
somebody
God.
who is like a teenager or young adult. I don't know how old the kid is, but definitely not a little like toddler running around.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a plus. But that's not the only thing. Like, I just like the character of the samurai girl and her relationship with Ghosty. Like, I thought that was building to something interesting, and it could have been cool to have her come back again a couple episodes later with like an update on her life after stuff, you know?
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, yeah. It was the better episode of the season, but by the standards of the season, that still ranks it at like a
Yeah,
7 or an 8.
I've
Like, my
I'm
issue
just
is
grown
that
tired of these filler episodes.
Go ahead,
so
Patrick.
my opinions on them are just I don't care. So these next 3 or 4, however many there are in the final arc, I just don't care.
I mean, my problem is that, like, since I've seen a bunch of the older Sentai, like, I've seen this plot of a Sentai episode God knows how many times, where we have a male hero, he meets a woman, he falls in love with her instantly, they develop a mutual trust, and it looks like they're going to get together, but then the villain's plot of the day gets wound up, and she gets involved, and there's like all these melodramatic shenanigans, and that's when our hero realizes that his only one true love is fighting for justice. So he turns around, he's crying, he transforms, runs away, and never looks back. And then there's a narration that hints that he may go back to the woman when the final battle is over, but we never see her again.
Dun, dun,
It's just
dun.
skipping is. It's like just Especially saying how we know
it
how
just
the
annoys
ending
me.
is. Just imagine them cut to the ending where they're on the cloud flying into the sky and Goshi's like, crap! And then it cuts to this long shot of him
Wait, I
falling
forgot
off the
something.
cloud. He jumped off.
I mean, he does come back and
Here
go
about
Kaiser,
30
maybe
years
he
late,
did.
you
It's like-
jerks.
he's like, "Are you nuts?"
But what makes me hate this even more is that this type of plot is done in some other Sentais that we're going to be taking a look at soon, like Time Ranger and Ginga Man. But it works a bit better because, like in Ginga Man, we have an episode that plays out exactly like this.
Yeah.
But the
It
woman
becomes
becomes a recurring character.
It becomes
and we
a
see
part
her
of the
multiple
storyline
times.
for a
So
character.
it's fine.
It actually is good. So
So that's what really frustrates me, that this type of episode can be done if it triggers a story arc, and it has been done because they do it in Ginga Man. Sorry to spoil that, but yeah, it happens.
and better.
So, yeah. They also did that episode in Lost Galaxy too, but it literally plays out exactly how I just did.
Oh my god, it did.
Yeah, but we don't see that girl that Kai falls for in that episode.
No.
We'll talk more about that later. But now I will say this though, I do think that this is better than the Mighty Morphin episode, because the Mighty Morphin episode is a mess where so Angela walks up to Zach and she's acting all lovey-dovey with him and says like, "Hey, you want to go to the movies?" But then when they're actually at the movies and Zach is trying to, put his arm around her, she's just giving him like a, "Man, what the hell you doing?" or something.
The cold
like that.
shoulder.
Like, you asked him out on a date.
Yeah.
And then
Doesn't make any sense.
Then she ditches him, but then Zach doesn't appear phased at all in the next scene, and then the episode has to win with like, "Wah wah, Bulk and Skull are covered in mud, and Bulk has a frog in his jacket. Wah wah wah." Like,
I can't do the rest of it.
It had a great unmorphed fight, but that was about it. But yeah, I have issues with this just because I've seen this plot God knows how many times. I'm going to give it
5.
a 6.
Like I said, I'm just whatever to
What about
these, so
you
they're
guys?
just all going to be 5s until we get to the finale.
I'm gonna give it a 6 too.
I'm gonna give this a 7 or an 8. I can't decide. I'll stop at a 7.5 because I can't decide.
Okay, fair enough. All right, we got 2 filler episodes left.
Yay.
We got this one, 45.
Oh boy.
The Foolish Boy. This episode is simple. The Zyurangers have to fight against this monster who's been befriended by a boy that's terrorizing polluters. Only notable thing is that Geki uses the dragon armor again. This is the last time that he's going to use it. We will see armed Tyranno Ranger again in Gokaiger when Captain Marvelous transforms into that form. But that's about it. The funny thing is that when I was watching, I saw a Turbo Ranger episode when I was watching Turbo Ranger that had this exact same plot. And I, honest to God, when I was watching this episode, I thought, haven't I seen this episode before? So, and it worked a bit better in Turbo Ranger because the monster had like powers where I think it would make a little bit more sense that he could brainwash the kid in that episode to thinking that he could protect the environment. I don't understand how this kid could have come to the conclusion that the unicorn monster could do anything to help the environment. Like, yeah, this episode is just... Yeah, I'm not a fan of this. Mm-hmm. You guys got anything else to add to it?
Nah.
Yeah.
Since it feels like a retread, but it has a real brainless plot, I'm giving this episode a 2. Like, it was really bad. Everybody else?
I'm giving it a 5. I'm taking Patrick's stance here. I don't care.
I don't care either.
Okay. I mean, I guess maybe it's because I was literally watching a Sentai that had this exact same plot that it just really annoyed me. But yeah, I can understand how it is. Okay, so Riz,
All right,
you had your rant.
get the
It's my
popcorn ready,
turn.
guys.
Oh, it's gonna be
We're getting
good.
Nate's official Riz level rant. We don't want to miss it, Patrick.
Okay.
All right,
So
let's
this
go.
episode is called Presenting the Vicious Squadron. So in this episode, we have a monster that apparently has the ability to make himself look like anything that he wants, and he does it to the golems too. And they pose as the Zyurangers, and they're terrorizing the city, and the people turn on the Zyurangers. And this episode is so frustrating to watch. Okay, the Zyurangers are not great characters. Let me specify
Definitely
that.
not.
But even though they're not great characters, it is so frustrating and so hard to watch. These people who have done nothing wrong just get turned on by this dumb public. Like they're getting like rocks thrown at them and like all these stuff. It's like, okay, I'm not a fan of these characters, but I don't want to see them like get needlessly like hurt for no reason.
The word you're looking for is brutalized.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Brutalized. Sorry. But and then the episode at the end when the Zyurangers are battling against those against their clones, the public are saying, "Oh, okay, we like the Zyurangers again. Yay, yay, go Zyurangers, go Zyurangers. Yeah, we like you again." And the Zyurangers just accept it. They go as if nothing ever happened. If I was the Zyurangers after this episode, I would say, no, we have protected you all year. Okay, this is the last episode before the endgame arc. If this happened early on, okay, I could kind of maybe do it. But
Nate,
late,
they don't know it's the endgame arc yet.
Yeah, but still, it's been over a year, and they've been protecting everyone, and they're doing all this great stuff, and in the blink of an eye, these people turn on the Zyurangers. Instead of thinking, okay, let's think about this logically. Would the Zyurangers actually do it? No. They just immediately assume it's the Zyurangers, and they turn on them, and they throw rocks at them, and they hurt them, and they run them out of town, and then, oh, we like you again. If I were the Zyurangers, I'd be like, no, you turned on us. You owe us.
Yeah. And then I think in the exact same episode, one of the golems literally turns into like a civilian right in front of another civilian, and they just look as though like, hey, that person's beating up that Zyuranger beating up that poor innocent person. Like, I saw it. That you literally saw it go from a golem to wow. You know what?
What was the two-parter that happened earlier in the season where they had one of the door monsters replicate their mechs, and it had the same
Burai's final arc.
Yeah, they had him turning into the different mechs. Even though they saw it turn back into its Dora monster form and then transform into another mech, they were still blaming the Zyurangers for it. And I stated in that two-parter that the people of Japan in this season are idiots.
Yeah.
And this episode just really brings it home.
Yeah.
They're not even wearing the correct uniforms. They're in the outfits, but their gloves and boots are like black or something. It's not even the right outfits.
Well, not in this one. The ones where they had black.
Or was that a Mighty Morph? Was that a Zoo? That was a Zoo 2 episode?
That was a Zoo 2 thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another problem that I have with, like, I mean, I guess I get it when they're doing it when they're pretending to be the Zyurangers, but when it comes to, like, that final battle, like, I don't like it when, like, they have the evil Power Rangers just be, like, look exactly the same as the other Rangers. Like, do something. Like even Mystic Force did that once, but the one way that you could tell the difference was that the neck of the suit was black instead of white.
Yeah. Didn't Jetman have an episode like that where they had like dark black pieces on their costumes? Yeah, I was remembering that. But yeah, like the people of Japan in this season are just complete idiots.
Yeah.
And in case you're wondering, production team, no, I am not going to give this episode points because you try to give us fan service showing May taking a bath. Nice try. I'm not giving you points for that.
It's like that.
Sorry. I had to bring that out.
It's like
Yeehaw.
I don't care who the IRS sends. I'm not paying taxes.
Yeah.
I am not. So yeah, this episode is horrible. I'm giving it a 0.5 out of 10.
Yeah, it's definitely down there because it especially this almost reminds me, maybe not to the extent of what happens in Gal Ranger / Wild Force with, what was his name, Gal God or Animus, where
Oh yeah,
Animus.
if he
yeah.
happened, if his storyline happened like 10, 15, 20 episodes earlier, it would have worked a lot better than it would have if it happened where instead of where it happened where it did, like little over halfway into the season.
Yeah.
It's like, what we have proven ourselves. You not believing us is your problem, not ours.
just a dick. That's all you are. Like,
yeah. So it's this is like a 1 at best.
1 definitely. This episode really pissed me off. Like,
I'm gonna say that I have a less vehement response to it than you guys did. Like, the episode definitely made me feel uncomfortable because I didn't like seeing that much brutality against the good guys, like, to that level. Like, this is a kid's show, and the violence we were seeing does not really look like a kid's show, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, this episode is like modern internet culture. Oh, I saw you do something wrong, but I don't have full context. Well, screw you anyway.
pretty much.
So I'm gonna give this. My stance on these episodes have been these are mostly average type of episodes, but given the brutality and the violence, I'm gonna have to knock it down to like a 4 or a 3. I think a 3.5.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing outstanding about the episode. There's nothing vehemently bad about this episode like certain other episodes, which made my voice kind of hoarse, because right now my voice is kind of hoarse.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing, Patrick.
But there is good news.
It's almost over.
We're finally at the 4-part in-game.
Thank God.
That's not good news. These 4 episodes aren't good.
Well, it's good news that we're actually on.
We're at the end.
Ending this soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So 47, break in the final deciding battle. 48, the sun from the darkness. 49, the gods lost, and the final episode of Viva Dinosaurs. So I'm just gonna sum this up as just go through the whole thing before we wrap up. So first of all, so to begin in episode 47, there is at the beginning of the episode, unfortunately, we have another child of the day who's going to be recurring throughout this. His name is Satoshi.
Great.
He's in critical condition, but he's motivated to continue fighting because the dinosaur eggs are apparently supposed to hatch. Then an earthquake erupts, and the guardian beasts reveal that Dai-Satan is supposed to return. And then 4 children are captured by this mysterious boy that appears after the earthquake, and it's revealed that the person is actually Kai. Who is Kai? He is Bondora's son. That is, and just as a side note, I remember this guy was supposed to appear in Mighty Morphin originally, and his name was going to be Bubba. Just want to remind everybody that. Yeah. So then Bars is trying to figure out what was going to happen with Dai-Satan, and then Pleprecon creates a giant mech called Doratalos, and Kai pilots Dora Talos along with the 4 captured children. And then that leads us to the next episode where apparently the Zyurangers can't summon King Brachion because King Brachion still has the dinosaur eggs, and because these stupid dinosaur eggs need to have some importance, Barza reveals that if the dinosaur eggs are destroyed, the guardian beasts die.
Can we
Like,
go
like,
off on a little mini tangent right now? Why did they not know this earlier?
Yeah,
because they directly interacted with the people who originally had the eggs and sent them off, but they were never told this. Even Barza, he apparently had this information already. Why did he never tell this to anybody? This seems like crucial information.
God, he's worse than Zordon.
Yeah, I know. It feels like this should have been brought up when the eggs first appeared. It would have made them protecting them feel a lot more, meaningful. Because beforehand, it just felt like we were chasing eggs around because shut up. But
this was something that they did the last second. Yeah. Just like, oh, we got to make things more. We have add more stress. Just to tell them that the eggs are connected to the guardian beast. Yeah.
Okay, there. Yeah. Now they're important.
But that doesn't make any sense.
Now they're important. Worry about them.
Wait, but that doesn't make any sense. Why don't we just do that earlier? Shut up! Don't worry about it.
Shut up!
Don't question me.
But anyway, to continue the episode, so they defeat Dora Talos and Ultimate Daijujin, and the children are freed. But then Bandora shows up, and she uses her magic to sink King Brachion and the dinosaur eggs into quicksand. And then, pardon me, we get a flashback where it's revealed that way back during the Zyurangers' time, Kai was a jerk for no reason. He liked to go up and walk up to dinosaur eggs and crack them open for no reason.
Oh, dickhead.
Like, you want us to feel sorry for this guy? You probably shouldn't have him do that in his free time. But he was eventually... He wasn't killed by a dinosaur, even though the episode wants us to think that. He actually fell off a cliff while running away from a dinosaur, so he kind of killed himself. So, like, this episode's writing is so bad that they can't even make us feel sympathetic for a character they want us.
It's like you could put in the Three Stooges theme song during him running away, and it would fit perfectly. That's how.
Exactly.
And then he hits the ground.
And... Yeah. And then when he died, his mother was driven insane, and she sold her soul to the devil to become
literally
a witch so that she could destroy dinosaurs. And that was Bandora. Then Bandora unleashes a spell that revives Daisaten, and she also revives Dora Talos. Only Don pilots Dora Talos this time. And Dora Talos beats Daijujin and Dragon Caesar, who has finally come back after being absent these last couple of episodes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm still not over the fact that they make this big deal about Dragon Caesar being their friend, and then they don't have him appear in the next couple of episodes.
That's so annoying.
That's just... Yeah. So that moves us to episode 49, The Gods Lost, where Dragon Caesar and Daijujin are vanished from a spell from Bandora, and because the Guardian Beasts are sealed away, the Zyurangers can't transform. And then, as Patrick pointed out, how because this series is chopped full of Deus Ex Machina, Burai shows up in spirit. He urges them to fight on, and he opens a pathway for them to enter this magic realm and Geki, Goshi, and Don enter the pathway through a rope while May and Boy make sure that the rope is secure. The episode ends with them entering the magic realm. They have to defeat the ghosts of three monsters: Dora Chimera, Dora Mirage, Dora Ninja, Dora Gansaku. And that leads us into the final episode of Viva Dinosaurs, where they fight off the ghost and they break the guardian beasts free. The Zyurangers transform again. They form Ultimate Daijujin, and they defeat both Doratalos and Daisaten once and for all. With Kai injured really badly, he retreats to Bandora's palace, and he dies in his mother's arms. Bandora is powerless because she shedded tears because of her son's death. According to Daijujin, a witch who sheds tears loses her magic because
that's actual lore to real witches. So yeah, that's actual lore to real witches.
Really?
So,
okay, I didn't know that.
Yes, it is.
Is it really? Like, okay, when you say witches,
we're talking.
Are we talking?
Yes,
Salem?
we're talking I think witches that gain their powers from like demonic entities or something like that. Like if they cried natural tears of sadness, it removed their ability to use magic. So this is actually based off of real lore.
Oh wow.
Okay. And that's fine.
So
I can deal with that.
Can someone? Okay, so someone answer this question for me. I don't know if I'm going crazy or not. If I even ask this, we remember that Mandora says she hates children, correct? And the reason that she hates children is because her son died. What does that have to do with her not liking children?
The logic here, and I've thought about it quite a bit because I was kind of curious too. It actually makes Bandora a little bit more of a tragic character. So Bandora's thought process is, I lost my kid. I had to sell my soul to the devil. I now hate kids because I lost my kid, and the fact that other people can have kids, we'll get to a couple in a few minutes who do have a kid later on. She doesn't want to remember the pain of losing her own kid, so she wants to kill all kids to remove that reminder. Which is why this entire season focused on kids, apparently, is because she didn't want to have the reminder of kids when she's on Earth.
So wouldn't you just kill the So wouldn't you just kill the parents then? Because they are the reason kids exist.
Right. See, that would make the most logical sense. But
I'm just saying, I'm not trying to you're making a good point. I'm just trying to say, like, you know, maybe we should get rid of the parents too. Like, I'm just saying, like, that way you can.
In my opinion, if you ask my opinion is this story actually made Zyuranger a little bit more tolerable overall because it explains why we're given kids so often as a focus.
I still don't like it, but you're
I don't
right.
like it, but it gives me an explanation that I was sorely lacking. And now that I have the explanation, I can still hate parts of Zyuranger, but I understand what they were attempting to do at least.
I guess.
It makes perfect sense to me. Like, why? It's not a great explanation, but it's still there, you know?
But anyway, to wrap up the story, with Bandora powerless, Daijujin seals her and her minions in a jar, and it gets flung out into space, her palace vanishing. We actually see in a later scene that they're living a new life of captivity in the jar. Bandora vows that she'll get her magic back in return, but then it turns out that Lamy and Grafforzer have been kind of busy, and they appear with a new baby.
And they got busy!
And even Bandora apparently is.
I have questions that I need answered right now. Okay. So, the Zords, Guardian Beasts, whatever you want to call them, put these guys into a jar and sent them off into space.
Again.
Now, here's my question. How was the child of Gryffindor and Lamy conceived? Were they just out and about within the jar, getting it on with everyone else around watching like a big show? Or is there like rooms in this jar?
Let's hope so. Because
There are
otherwise,
rooms, you know.
like.
But okay, if there are rooms in here, why did the Guardian Beast decide to give him a fully furnished place to procreate and dance and sing and all that stuff? Patrick's face right now is amazing, by the way.
Why are you?
It's like, why are you giving me all these thoughts?
No, when you said, did they do it out in the open? I'm just imagining them doing it, and then the rest of them are singing Bandora's theme song.
Dora, 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 Dora.
And I'm like, why?
All I hear is like clapping noise in the background. You're like, oh god.
It's like, maybe it's a good thing he did seal them away, because nobody needs to look at that.
No.
Patrick,
But anyway,
I never once thought about this, and now I can't get it out of my head.
oh, no.
Oh boy.
Oh no.
So
Oh yeah!
the Zyurangers' mission is complete. They bring the dinosaur eggs to the newly healed Satoshi, and the eggs finally hatch. The Zyurangers leave the new dinosaur hatchlings in the care of the children, because that can't possibly go wrong, can it? And then they get beamed back into the afterlife with the Guardian Beasts, and the book closes, quite literally in this case. We literally see a book with the Zyurangers close as this episode ends. On the Zyuranger story, as the opening credits roll with their mini battles, and they promise to return whenever they're needed. The only other thing I want to note here is that this is the final episode of Super Sentai to be narrated by Toru Ohira. He's a Sentai veteran. He narrated every Sentai from Go Ranger to Dynaman.
Wow.
He left Super Sentai so that he can narrate the Metal Hero series. He did every one except Metalder. Then he returned to Super Sentai one more time to narrate this one. Now, this wasn't his last thing that he did on Sentai. He apparently voiced Emperor Bacchus Wrath on
It was
Ranger,
Bacchus Wrath,
or
yeah,
whatever
that was
King
him.
Mondo's counterpart's
No,
name
it was Bacchus. You read. You
But,
had it right.
Yeah.
Bacchus Wrath.
And that's it. The book has literally closed on Zyuranger with that. So who wants to go first talking about what they think about this in-game art? Actually, you know what, Riz? Like, Riz got his turned around.
Yeah.
Let's listen to what Patrick has to say. 'Cause, Patrick, this was your idea. This is your opportunity.
It's very on the nose for how the rest of the season has gone. There was a kid who got more focused than the rest of the Rangers did. The dinosaur eggs randomly got this bit of importance thrust upon them for no reason. And then, just like with every other major event in this season, they got it spoon-fed to them. They never actually earned anything in this season. The second that Bry showed up and said, hey guys, did you know they're not dead and you can save them by going through that door I just put over there? Like, that's not interesting storytelling. It's lazy. It's just like, it's a microcosm of everything that's been wrong with this season up to this point. It's just, it really feels like, and I'm going to say this about the whole season, that they wrote the outline for the show, looked it over and thought, yeah, that's good enough. and then put that on the screen. Because there's nothing detail about this. It's terrible. So...
yeah.
Like I think I've said my case hundreds of times throughout these videos because it feels like I'm just repeating myself again. All right, somebody go next.
Okay, now Riz, you're the only one who hadn't seen Zyuranger before this. So, what did you think of the finale, Riz?
Mm-hmm.
The finale was very weak. So I was honestly getting kind of pumped up when I saw them say, "Let's storm the moon base and fight," because I don't know if y'all thought about this or y'all ever put a lot of weight on this. But the one thing I didn't like about Mighty Morphin Season 1 is throughout the entire thing,
Yeah, and
Rita
now
never
you
gets
know
her
why.
hands dirty and fights the
Yes,
Rangers
neither does
one-on-one,
Pandora.
right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and so Pandora had the perfect chance here to show her witchcraft, to show her power, and do something and have this epic battle, a good versus evil type thing. And I was kind of honestly hyped for it. But then Deus Ex Machina and Dai Zuzan was like, nah, she lost her power. She's a witch. She can't be a witch because she cried. Like, that rule came out of nowhere, and I didn't really like it. Didn't really make sense to me. So I just thought the entire finale was weak. Like, there was no epic battle.
Nope.
There was no great moment of like finality. It was all about the freaking, hey, how can we as a cast of people end this interestingly enough? Because like Patrick said, we didn't really have like an outline with like a game plan for what they're going to do in detail. I feel like the entire Pandora can't be a witch anymore thing was literally them trying to say, hey, we need a way to end the season. Let's write something real quick and do that.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't plan at all, honestly. Like, nothing about this screams that they planned. Which is not just the finale, it's all of Zyuranger. They didn't really plan it out. Like, we could have had Kai come a lot earlier and do stuff a lot earlier to kind of prep us to get us used to the idea of Kai and Pandora having a kid and all that stuff, but we didn't really get that.
Yeah.
So I don't know why, but it definitely didn't help anything not having them there.
And it also doesn't help the fact that, it was a waste. Like, it was such a wasted opportunity to do some very interesting things with these characters, because I just don't care about them at all. Like, it's like, why are we even here? Like, this feels pointless.
Well, we're here because Patrick suggested.
Oh, I was referring to the end, the story itself.
No. We're here to discuss our dearly departed Kyoryu Sentai Zyuranger.
Well, I mean, I think like I said, I mean, my big gripe with this is that, like I said, it wants us to feel sorry for Kai. But like I said, I mean, how can we feel sorry for Kai when he literally went around just breaking dinosaur eggs for no reason, just to be a jerk?
I mean,
and then
essentially he's killing, dinosaurs in a sense. So it's like, why should we care about you?
I mean, we didn't care about him.
And he wasn't even killed by dinosaurs. He was running away and he just tripped and fell off the edge. Could you at least show him getting eaten by a dinosaur or something so that we could kind of make it somewhat believable?
Nope.
That Pandora
of course not. That would make too much sense. Logic? We don't have that here.
Logic?
Yeah,
We
there's
don't
no
need no
such-
stinking logic.
We're just winging it.
We are.
Like literally, they just winged it.
Um,
Like wow. Like okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but
So,
like, I don't know. Overall, I'm gonna start giving my overall thoughts here, Nate. Unless you guys want to do anything else before that.
well, only thing I want to say, what would we give the final arc out of 10, and then we can move on to that.
Honestly, this is a
I
5.
I'm gonna give it a 6 just because. Okay, I got apocalyptic vibes from this, which I felt like this did play out like a decent finale, like with the apocalyptic feel and like some of the more external conflicts type of thing. So, which is something that a finale really should do. So, I'm gonna give it a 6, just because it has some feels that I think a finale should have, but
See,
that's about it.
in the perfect world, I would have given this a 6 like you, but I have to
Mhm.
deduct points for how flat the finale actually felt end of the day.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, this is like Countdown to Destruction in Power Rangers in Space, except the in space characters are just flat characters that we don't care about.
dude, hold up. Back up. Don't insult my man Andros and Zane by
Yeah, I
comparing them
know,
to
I know. But it's like I always like to bring up Countdown to Destruction as like the definitive finale where with an apocalyptic feel.
yeah, that and
Like
Time
that
Force.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I think Time Force and the End of Time and Countdown to Destruction get those both down perfectly good.
Yeah.
But what would Anthony and Patrick give this? Yeah.
Yeah.
The finale arc, I'd probably give it a 4 because it's just more of the same, but they made the stakes higher. Like more of the same in terms of writing, but the stakes were higher, and
Yeah.
I'm also gonna be
It
a
just
4
doesn't
too
do
with this.
anything
Like I
for
said,
me.
it let me down. It let me down. I was like, okay, this is gonna be a nice little finale. No, it didn't. It didn't give me that.
Okay, Riz, now you can go into your overall thoughts.
Okay. My overall thoughts are very simple. This season is just very bland. Like, I know we give it a lot of crap for certain moments, like the entire Bryce story arc was poorly handled from every direction. Nothing about Bryce story arc felt like it was done well. The characters are written very cookie cutter. Like I could go get a sheet of cookie dough, cut it out, and here are the characters. They have no depth, they have no flavor, they have no spice. They are just bland things thrown in there to fill a trope. But the problem is the thing that I think is the most frustrating about the characters here is we have Mighty Morphin to look back to here. And the thing about the characters in Mighty Morphin is they weren't necessarily deep characters in Mighty Morphin. Like they're not like they are in the audio drama. The audio drama is the definitive how Mighty Morphin should have been. And we'll get to that when we get to that in the next podcast.
Yeah.
But the fact that we have these characters in Zyuranger, and I can't even say, okay, Geki's the leader, he's courageous, whatever. May's the girl, she's dainty and, whatever. Like, she's the girly girl. That's the only thing we can really say. Maybe we can make the argument that Gosi is the tactical mind, but he doesn't really feel the tactical need. And then Dan and Boy are so interchangeable that they have no personality to speak of. So, honestly, they're the same trope. Like, unless I'm mistaken, unless I'm forgetting something, but to me, those two characters are the same trope. So I just felt like the characters were not given any due diligence. They were kind of just there to fill the suits for the kids to get happy to see on TV, and that was it. Um, I think Barza is a very odd mentor for these guys, and I think Zordon did it better
Yeah.
overall. And that's not saying much because Zordon was questionable at times in what he did for the Rangers and how much he told him. But at least Zordon cared and he tried and all that.
Yeah.
But the thing that really sticks out the most to me about the season is how dirty they played Geki and Barai.
Oh yeah.
That story could have been amazing. And honestly, if they had done it better, I feel like all of y'all would have been telling me in the beginning, oh, Riz, this is the season with the family drama of Barai and Geki. You're going to have a lot of fun dissecting all that interpersonal relationship stuff, and it'll be amazing, and you're going to get a lot of fuzzy feels, but a lot of, oh crap, that's a thing. But in the end, Geki was portrayed as, I don't care about my brother. My brother's here, but I'm not going to be wondering why he's not with us for like 7 or 8 episodes. And then he's not going to be able to figure out a solution for his brother, even when he knows what the problem is, until literally Barai has like 4 hours left to live.
It's like, oh, now
And
you care.
and by that point, it's too late. I mean, he knew at least when Barai had like, I'm guesstimating 20 hours left. And, you know, that's spread out across weeks and months um because of how time works in Zyuranger, like, and him being in the timeless room and all that stuff. Like they had time. They could have dedicated a lot of time. They could have gone on quests. They could have gone on journeys. They could have done something. Not let's go protect the dinosaur eggs every now and then. So overall, I'm gonna say that this season ended up being very average with a sprinkle of, oh god, why would you ever do this? And that's my final take on Zyuranger, guys.
Patrick, you want to go next?
Yeah, might as well. Yeah, watching the season is kind of my idea because I, like, legitimately though, I jokingly said when we started this that I wanted to watch it so we could rip on it. But the main reason why I wanted to rewatch this season was because it had been about a decade since I watched it the first time, and I wanted to see if there was anything I missed the first time, or if I misremembered some stuff, and maybe walk away with it hoping I'd like it more than I did. But no, I think I actually like it less than I did going back into this, because I've mentioned this before when we've talked about this season, but one of the things that drives me up a wall when it comes to writing is wasted potential. And especially because I was actually talking to somebody on the Super Sentai subreddit about this like yesterday, as a matter of fact, where someone made a thread saying, who do you think is the most underutilized Sentai Ranger in the series history? And the first comment that someone posted was the entire Zyuranger cast. And I commented on it. And I said I agree with you, because you have 5-6 characters who are from 70 billion years ago who come to the present time, and there's no culture shock, no drama from like when they were like maybe rookies learning to be Zyurangers, kind of getting on each other's nerves, no lingering like kingdom drama that their respective kingdoms may have had with one another that they kind of carried over into like personal grudges. There was no Like, even like when it came to Geki and Brai, there was no like lingering hostility between the two more than, you know, you have what I think I should have, and that's about the extent of it. And especially coming off of Jetman, which was a pretty decent show when it came to character writing, setting up this much good groundwork for these characters and doing nothing with it just irritates me on a personal level. because I can just see so many good stories and character arcs and everything in this show, and it's all just squandered. And the guy who I was talking to on the subreddit said, especially considering how King Oger right now is basically tackling
and do it
those
better.
exact problems as key focal points of the show story and characters. If even anything half resembling what goes on in King Oger happened in Zyuranger, this would be a completely different show. But it has nothing. It teases you with the ideas of what King Oger is doing, but it doesn't even attempt to dive into that, and that just ticks me off. So, this, even after still having O-Ranger relatively fresh on my mind, I think this is worse than O-Ranger for two reasons. O-Ranger at its best is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's just that when it's at its worst, it's really, really bad. But those really, really bad things aren't their fault. The season was kind of put into this lose-lose situation with real life, issues that kind of forced them to write the season on it like an improvised way. So the show was never intended to be like that. So I give it a little bit of a pass. This is how Zyuranger was intended to be. It's terrible. Okay? It's just terrible. So it's still, at least to me, the worst Sentai. Until I see something that somehow is worse than this. So, I've said my piece.
Yeah, just to kind of go off of what I only saw this Sentai once before, and I was never a huge fan of it to begin with. I mean, I liked the fantasy settings and all that, and like the aesthetics, but honestly, some of the episodes that I remember liking when I watched it again, I remembered it differently. Like, I used to think that Burai's story arc was really great, but looking at it now, I realize that it's disappointing. I used to think that his death was a big emotional thing, and it turns out to not really be all that great. Like, you were going to say something, Patrick?
I mean, you hit on another point that makes me more agitated in this season is aesthetically. We talked about this at the very beginning. The costumes, some of the best in Sentai, if not the best. I think Daijujin is the best design. Main Mag.
Yeah.
I like the legendary weapons. I think they're cool. Being one of the few times where a Japanese-made show uses stuff from Western lore and Western mythology, with Bandora and Gryphosaur being Wizard of Oz references, and we have like a Frankenstein monster and Greek monsters and stuff like that. Like, aesthetically, this show is incredible. But yeah.
It's like so much potential, but it was squandered due to this bad choices as far as the production department.
And the fact that we have had several times where we've sat here and just listed off just basic ideas that we could have used to improve this season. Just willy-nilly. That says a lot, doesn't it? And we're not writers, and we could come up with something better than this.
Something that you kind of hit the nail on, Patrick, and this is something that I hadn't thought about until earlier this week. Again, listen to part of our podcast, plugging them again because they're amazing and they deserve all the love. But they were talking about how if you compare Mighty Morphin to Zyuranger, Zyuranger has one thing on Mighty Morphin in their opinion, and that is they take Western mythos and they adapt it into Japanese media and they make it work despite it being as quirky and weird as it was and how it came off. We're like, this is like the beginning. I think according to them, and I might be misremembering this is the first real attempt at bringing this much Western mythology into Sentai. Because prior, it just didn't happen as much. It was more like demon based or whatever. And they thought this is a very interesting way to, make it different and to give something new to the audience in Japan. And I gotta agree with them. Like, like you said, we had Frankenstein. We had there's actually some mythology behind the pig, Pudgy Pig in America.
Yeah, if you look on like the Ranger wiki, almost every single Dora monster is tied to an actual creature in like European, Native American, like Greek mythology in some
And
way.
like they could have done so much more with that to make it actually stand out and be a good season. And that's potential that they really missed on. Because now if they come out like 20 years later now with here are these mythological creatures again, some people might be able to say in fandom, oh, well, this isn't a new concept. We've had this before in Zyuranger. Like, Zyuranger was the first time we had some of this stuff, and it was squandered, basically.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. I just think, overall, they took the lazy route. They didn't plan the story ahead. They didn't know what they wanted to do half the time. They didn't care about the characters, because I think, and we've talked about this before, guys, like, I think they were trying to recapture the kids' interest in the Sentai and relate it back to them somehow. But they didn't understand how to do that. Because, in previous Sentai, Nate can back it up here because he's seen quite a bit of stuff. He's seen Go Ranger and Zaka in recent days, and I think he's working on Battle Fever, whatever, right now. But a lot of these old Sentais, they aren't about the kids. It's here's some government operatives that are given weapons to fight crime, or here are these adult people with mythological powers or supernatural powers fighting crime. We don't have a way for the kid to identify with I'm like that guy. I'm a kid. I go to school. I could be him. We don't have that.
Yeah, and the two seasons that follow this handled that better, where Kiba Ranger was a kid who had who was the sixth ranger, so that was a little bit of a better approach. And I've brought up Kaku Ranger a handful of times where they were used by the yokai as like a food source, but they never actually gave any of those kids like a spotlight moment.
Yeah.
They were more of background material, and that's how it should have worked.
And if they are like a part of the episodes, I remember there was like a later episode that happened in Kaku Ranger where it did involve a child, but it was integrated so well to the point where like it didn't tend to the story at all, or in like, oh well, like screw this child or whatever, because it was like it's still focused on the Kaku Rangers. The kid was just kind of just there to just, I guess, help, but like overall it was still about Kaku Ranger. I think it was Ninja Blues focus episode.
No, there weren't many of those, so I probably don't remember which one
it was. the sandwich monster chick, the one that like she'll with the crepes.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
What would you say for your overall thoughts, Anthony?
Overall, it was just kind of mad to me because I was like, I still have it on DVD, but the thing is, I've only watched it once on DVD. And I still own it, so I haven't touched it since I watched it on DVD. That just shows you what little interest I have in it.
Yeah. So I guess to kind of just we don't have to talk about the villains because I don't think we're gonna say that like any of the villains would stand out as a top 10 Sentai villain.
Dora,
Um,
Bandora.
Man, even like going from the Jetman to the Zoorangers, going from the Vyram to Bandora's gang was a downgrade.
Yeah.
But you know what the
itself
sad part
also.
about it is that like unlike in Jetman, we didn't lose a single villain at all in this entire. And it's like
none of
no.
the main villains died.
As opposed to the opposite what happened in Jetman, where nearly all of them died, and it's like
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
You kill off the best ones, but you keep these losers? Like,
well,
What would we give? Oh, sorry, Riz.
It just goes so like another thing I didn't like about Zyuranger overall, and I kind of mentioned this haphazardly in the earlier part of this podcast, but I want to expand a little bit more. This finale was weak, and part of why it was weak is the villains don't really have a real rivalry with any of the Rangers. Like, in Mighty Morphin, Goldar and Jason and Goldar and Tommy, they have a vendetta against each other personally. Like, they want to kill each other. Like, that's their thing.
yep.
We don't get that here. Geki doesn't have anything against him, like, on a personal level. He's just a general in Bandora's army, and that's it.
Like
And
even in
then-
Jetman, you had Guy's rivalry with Gray, and
Yeah,
I guess you could.
Radicat and Ryu.
Yeah, Radigan and Ryu.
yeah. So, I don't know. I just feel like the villains were, again, cookie cutter things taken out to fill the role of a villain. That's all they were. They weren't, like, given any real purpose in the thing as far as I can tell. Like, they didn't have any real depth to them beyond, we need villains. Here are villains. Go have fun.
And one of the things that annoys me about Bandora also is that her motivation and reason for being a villain isn't explained until the final arc.
The final last 10 minutes.
Which I've mentioned Mega Ranger before because Dr. Hintler has this exact same problem, except it's not 4 episodes before the ending, it's 4 minutes before the ending.
Yeah.
But I still like Mega Range. That's the crazy part. Still.
Oh no, Mega Ranger is still a good season, but the villains are not one of the reasons.
The villains are
What would
much to desire, but at least they had motivations and at least they did something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm not saying you're
Yes.
wrong. It's just, but I would rather watch
Yeah.
them than these guys any day. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I would too.
How would we give our final rankings for the Zyurangers? And we include Burai in this since he's still part of the team. Who wants to go first?
Honestly, if we're talking about like the characters themselves in order,
Yeah.
I'd probably go Goshi, Bry, and then the other 4 I just swept under the rug because I don't want to look at them anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's how my ranking
I
is.
legitimately
My
don't care.
ranking is literally the exact same as Pat's. So I think I put Borai over Goshi first.
So, mine has changed drastically, honestly.
Okay.
So, if you guys remember, in the past, I would say Barai, Gosi, Maid, and the other 3 idiots. Right?
They're idiots.
Now, my new ranking as of the end of Zyuranger is Barai, Gosi, May, and I can finally give you guys a ranking for the last 3 idiots. Because now I can just tell you based on who frustrated me the most in that episode I ranted about earlier. Boy is at rank 4 because he didn't really do anything to piss me off.
No.
Dan has earned spot 5 because he did say at one point to Dragon Caesar, get over it, Like he was one of the ones that was saying that stuff to Dragon Caesar. And that made me really not like him.
Unforgivable.
And then Geki is then dead last. Because, dear God, you lost your brother. And you go from the episode where you lose your brother and you're feeling emotion to suck it up, get over it. That tells me he had no character growth. He had no interest in anything beyond, oh my God, I must save the children of the day. And so, yeah, Geki is the worst character in Zyuranger now to me. Patrick, you win.
Man, I like how I've won you over on my opinions on 2 Red Rangers, but for 2 completely different reasons.
No.
No, you didn't. No. Takuro's not your favorite, but at least I convinced you that he was a good character.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. But you told me, I think off a podcast, you told me Geki is the worst red in all of Sentai. I will still stand by my...
I mean, like, that's just like an eye of the beholder thing.
I will still stand by John being the worst thing.
I completely understand why you feel John is worse, but nah, man, I want to kick Geki in the gonads so badly.
Oh, that's funny. I want to kick John in the gonads so badly.
My foot right up Broadway.
Okay, we gotta bring Geki and John out here, and we both kick him in the gonads.
Yeah. So how did the people of Japan handle their retribution? They'll throw stones at him? Okay, well, go get a pile of rocks. Be right back.
I'll probably have the same ranking as Riz. I'd put Burai, Goshi, May. And you know what? I don't hate Don as much as I used to. I'll still rank him under Boy, but yeah, I'm going to join the club. I would probably put Geki as the worst. Because, I mean, I think Burai is still a good 6 Ranger. Goshi has a cool moment every once in a while. And May is just so cute that you can't really hate her.
No, I don't hate her.
I'm Geki is probably the biggest drop off for me. Like, I used to actually kind of think that Geki was kind of a cool red a little bit, but the more of it I think about it after watching that Dragon Caesar episode, yeah, this guy is. I don't think he's worse than John, and I don't know if I would say that he's worse than Alita from Go Sager either. But
the fact that he's down there with the fact that he's down there with them is statement enough.
And what would we, just to kind of close this off, what would we give Zyuranger out of 10 overall, guys?
I'll give it a 4 out of 10.
It's I'm giving it a 2 because you know what number 2 means, right?
I'm gonna give it a 3 because it's just.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4 too. It's just. I don't think it's as bad as Geki Ranger. I would still put it as a D tier Sentai, but it's not like okay. I would still rather watch this than Go Sager, and honestly, maybe even Geki Ranger. The more I think about it now, but
I'd rather watch this than Geki Ranger.
Man, Go Sager.
I never watched the Geki Ranger game in my life.
Man, Go Sager must really suck.
It does. It does.
Okay, its head writer is the same as the head writer of Geki Ranger.
Man, I almost want to watch Go Sager myself out of just morbid curiosity. Because the more you guys talk about it, the more I just want to okay, let's see how bad this really is, and then
you're like, oh my god, let me go back.
Yeah, and then you can
like that
then
thing
you
where
can come visit me in the psych ward after I'm finished with it.
It's like that. It's like that. I remember the episode of SpongeBob where Mr. Krabs was being so cheap, he wanted to give all the people all the stuff back because they were paying because they were giving it for free or whatever.
He
reverses the TV.
Yeah, he makes him unwatch the TV show.
The TV.
Yeah, that was. God, I love it.
That was funny.
I love that moment so much.
Yeah, that's why I always get so frustrated. Like when Power Rangers Megaforce was coming on, and it's like, man, Megaforce sucks. Ghost Sager is so great, and Megaforce like totally botches it. And I'm like, no, Ghost Sager is pretty bad. Megaforce didn't really have much to botch, to be honest.
Same with Ninja Steel. Like same with Ninja Steel, because Ninja Steel was just bad. But like, freaking Ninja was just as bad too. So it's like you couldn't win regardless. So
It's like you're comparing two trash bags. Who cares?
exactly, like they both suck. Like what do you want from me?
Do we have any closing thoughts just to wrap up, guys?
Yes. One closing thought.
What's that?
We will now enter the era of the Power Rangers audio drama, which incorporates stuff from Zyuranger and Mighty Morphin and the Boom Studios Mighty Morphin comics.
Yes.
And basically fixes all the problems that we've been talking about for the last 3-4 months now. And it's a fan production. It's amazing. I hope you guys will all check it out because it deserves all the love in the world.
Definitely.
Yep. Any closing thoughts, Patrick or Anthony?
No, I said what I need to say.
I am going to go bury my DVD box set in the backyard to the tune of yakety sax.
Not yakety sax.
I don't know if I'll be able to do. I don't know if I'll be able to do that for mine since mine is signed.
I'm not actually going to do that, but just theoretically, I'm gonna treat it as a clown funeral. I am never watching this crap ever again.
I might actually sell my DVD box set.
I don't.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not.
Riz is like,
watching
I
this
don't
one
want that
again.
crap in my house.
Yeah, my most prized Sentai autograph is still the one that I got signed by the guy who plays whatever. I can't remember what. It escapes me now. The guy who played Ninja Red, but I got him to sign it as Hyuga from
you win
King of
either
Man.
way.
Like,
they're both good characters.
Exactly, they're both good characters.
Yeah. Like that's still my favorite Sentai autograph I have currently. But anyway, we've done it. We've wrapped up Zyuranger, guys. We've endured this for so long,
and we all survived.
Okay.
It's a miracle.
Now that we've wrapped it up, I must make a quick phone call to put a hit out on Patrick. Patrick, watch your back. Everywhere you go, there'll be shadows following you now.
Oh.
And
Oh.
every
here's the shadow that was behind me.
Out,
I found it.
For those that can't see the webcam,
had a figure of Shadow the Hedgehog.
Videos,
He had a picture. He said, "There's a shadow behind you." I turned around. I was like, "Oh, you mean this one?"
Every time you encounter a child, you will now wonder, is this the child that will end me?
With that said, the good news is that we got a string of some good content that we're going to be taking a look at over these next couple of actually kind of months, because our next two podcasts, we're going to be looking at the Power Rangers audio drama, just seasons 1 and 2. We'll do season 3 when it ends, but that might not be for a while because the people who make it had just recently announced that they're not going to be posting any episodes until the Writers and Screen Actors Guild strikes wrap up, which, yeah, I completely respect them for that.
Yeah.
But we'll do season 3 when it wraps up, but we will be doing seasons 1 and 2. And then after that, we'll be moving on to a really good Sentai. It was adapted into a Power Ranger season that we love, and it has the same head writer as Shinkenger, so it has to be good. That is Mirai Sentai Time Ranger. We'll hopefully get to that. We know that our last couple of podcasts on Zyuranger have been incredibly gloomy and just negative, but we're going to get some positive energy in this.
Thankfully.
We're finally going to be able to we're finally going to be able to watch a Sentai that we like, because we've watched 2 Sentai in a row that we hate, including one that Riz can't get through a single podcast without bringing up. Like, so with that said, we thank you guys so much for taking the time to listen to us. If you guys have any opinions on Zyuranger that might conflict with ours, feel free to leave a comment down below. We respect opinions, and we like to sometimes respond to opinions that we may not necessarily agree with. If you listen to us on Spotify or iTunes, you can send us a message with any feedback at animesecrets.org. And that about wraps it up. We thank you guys so much for watching us. We will see you guys next time when we take a look at the Power Rangers audio drama season 1. But until that time, you guys stay safe. We love you, and may the power protect you.